Hello, welcome to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Center for Computer and Information Technology at Murray State University. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Grow West, the Technology Council of West Kentucky, KY Innovation, and our local partner, Sprocket Innovation in Paducah, and the Kentucky Innovation Station in Madisonville. You'll notice a couple of things different this week on 10 at 10. First of all, you'll notice the background is a little bit different. I'm doing this in my office without the use of a virtual backdrop and doing something a little bit different today. Second thing you'll notice is in a second, I'll bring on a second person to talk about today's topic. And I hope going forward that we're able to do that. For the last 9 months of 10 at 10s, you've had to endure me by myself. And so many of you have watched, have shared it, have asked questions, have really posed some ideas about topics that we should cover that were on your minds, and we've tried to hit those. Today, we're actually going to cover another topic that has been on the minds of some folks, and actually was a viewer submitted question. And the question for today is, how do we dispose of our mobile devices? And by answering this question today, I wanted to spend today to talk about what does a used phone look like. Then next week, we'll actually list some specific things that you need to think about. But what's interesting about this question is that we have a colleague here at Murray State that is an expert in cybersecurity that has done a lot of forensics work in cybersecurity. And one of the things of late that Dr. Randall Joyce has been looking at, one of our faculty, is looking at mobile devices. So I wanted to bring Dr. Joyce on to be able to share a little bit about what he has been seeing on mobile devices. So first of all, Randall, share a little bit about what you've been up to lately as it relates to mobile devices.
All right, Michael. So one of the things I've been working on is, seeing what, since a lot of our technology, especially mobile devices, as new ones come out, we just sort of throw away our old ones, and we don't really think about what we actually leave upon those. So what I've been looking at is what kind of devices and what kind of information can I get off mobile devices on eBay. So I've acquired several phones from eBay, from different groups. So some of them been pawn shops, some of them been from individuals or recycling resellers, stuff like that, and just seeing what what security mechanisms have been put in place. What kind of information can I get off of them? So these phones vary from your old traditional 1990s flip phone to some of your Samsung, iPhone, smartphones of today.
And as I've walked by your office and I've looked, I mean, it's truly just a box or a bag of phones. So you don't know necessarily what you're getting from eBay. You're just ordering a box of old phones.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, I'm trying to go for cheap phones in quantity. That way, if I have ones that are bad or broken or whatever, I'll maybe get, 1 or 2, 3 usable phones out of that, gallon bag of phones. And like I said, it's been a very interesting study to see what the mentality of mobile security has been over the years.
So the question that I have, and the answer, which has been scary to me, is what are some examples of things that you have found on these used phones?
Well, I mean, it's been a wide variety of things I've found. And it's been interesting. So, like I was saying, I've got flip phones from, the early 90s, and, I've got, smartphones and whatnot. And some of the things I've found, it's, been anything from, company information about court cases, things like that, to, people taking pictures of their social security cards and their birth certificates and things like that. And then they're storing their passwords and text files on their phones and things of that nature. And people, I understand they're doing this for convenience and whatnot, but at the same time, if you're treating your phone like a disposable device, you want to make sure you clean that up.
So I'm going to assume I think incorrectly, that you had to break encryption and you had to really do a lot of work to find all of this information on these phones, right?
Actually, no. I just had to get them powered up on some of them. And I got into there and get that information. Some of them don't use PIN codes. They don't like I said they. I've actually been able to see emails, things like that. There's no multi-factor authentication. There's no security measures on some of these devices at all.
And I want to also assume, probably incorrectly, that you've had to have a lot of specialized technology to help you build to do all this, right?
No, I haven't. Like I said, a lot of it's been just simply plugging in, charging, checking the battery. Make sure it's operational. Just getting things like that done. And like I said, I've been able, out of a couple dozen phones to find that kind of information without actually having to use any forensics tools like Celebrite or Oxygen Forensics or any of those kinds of things like that. To do deep analysis or try to crack pin codes or anything like that. So, like I said, all of this has just been right there in the open. And like I said, that's sort of scary that individuals would just here's my phone to a pawn shop, not wipe it, clean it, or anything like that.
Well, it is. And, when we're done with our phone, we are so focused on making sure we transfer our data to our new phone that so many of us just ignore it, don't think about it. Just, all right, we're done with that one. So let's get rid of it, throw it in the trash, give it to our kids, take it to a pawn shop. That we don't really do that in a secure manner. That really goes whether you throw it in the trash or you go to a recycler, or you resell it to your provider or back to Apple or something. That there are so many steps that you really need to take, and we'll get into all of those steps next week. But let me ask you one last question. In what you have done so far and what you have seen so far, what is the one overriding thought that you've had or tip that you would provide or suggestion for somebody that has an old phone that they're wanting to get rid of?
Uh, One of the things, like I said, I'd make sure not to leave any SD cards. Take the battery out of it. Matching batteries make it a lot harder to boot the device. You could always smash it too. Like I said, a lot of these recycling places are buying phones for the boards and stuff inside of them anyway. But like I said, if you make it unoperational, it's a lot harder for anyone to extract information from it. But that's some of the things like I would do with it.
Well, I appreciate that. And just to reiterate, it is not just passwords. It's not just pictures. There's actually data that has been seen, that you've seen, that would be considered private data that should be protected with appropriate security controls in the workplace, that are not being done at all. And not just not being done at all, but on devices being sold on eBay.
Yeah, yeah, and that's I think the biggest scary part is who has access to all this information and how are they handling it. So
yeah. Well, I appreciate you joining us today for 10 at 10. Next week, we will actually go through some of the steps. We'll get into some of the items that Dr. Joyce just shared on steps to take. But needless to say that there's a real problem with the way that we dispose of our mobile devices, that we need to do it in a secure way, not just because the law requires us to dispose of private data in a business setting properly, but because it's also our social security card. It's also our personal pictures. It's also our passwords. Now vaccine cards. There's a lot of that type of information that's on our phones that we need to secure and we need to dispose of in a proper manner. So next week on 10 at 10, we will actually dive into that and some of those steps that hopefully it can help you to find a better way to dispose of your information, of your phones, so that your information stays protected. I appreciate you joining us this week on 10 at 10. Until next week, enjoy your day. Thank you very much. Bye.